Beautiful. And we are live. Hey guys,
Happy Monday.
It's April 2nd, and that's it's awesome because we just had the turn of the calendar, and I think it's always a good opportunity to be able to look at what you did well, what you didn't do so well, and look for improvements, look to celebrate the things that you did achieve, and move forward with helping more people. So we have an amazing call tonight, an incredible speaker. And before we introduce her, we just want to run through a couple updates to make sure you guys are aware of what's going on. This is all available in the back office. I'm going to give you the FAQs to reference in case you can't scribble everything down. If you just want to write the actual FAQ numbers, you can research this. First thing that I want to talk about is the April promotion, which is $20 off the mega packs and the deluxe packs. So you can take advantage of that if someone's looking to stock up on performance line, especially. I know that I use way more than I should, but no shame there. So you can take advantage of that, or you can help your customers and coaches take advantage of that as well. It's FAQ 8016. Quick for anyone who is going to the Success Club trip in 2 weeks. I can't believe it's coming up that quickly. There is a photo op with celebrity trainers that you can earn between now and the 11th if you hit Success Club 10. If you need
it's
details,
worth it, guys.
Totally worth it. If you need details, that's FAQ 1545. And again, if you help 5 people between now and the 11th, you'll be able to get that photo op. Super Saturday is coming up it's this weekend. I can't believe it's here so quickly, but please find an event to get to. You can locate an event that's close to you using FAQ 9792. There's like a map, and you can find what's closest to you. We're really excited to have some coaches coming to the ones that's local for us.
Sorry, this drum roll is for the next one because we're all stoked.
I'll let you take this one because you seem really excited.
Right, guys?
I am too.
Well, both from a personal perspective and a business perspective, on April 6th, beach bars are going to be officially available. This is something
we wanted these since we became coaches.
Forever.
Right?
Beachbody listen. So if you're like, I want a vegan recover, they're listening. It's probably already in development. They're probably testing it, but they want to do it the right way. And so from a personal perspective, this is just going to be a game changer for our nutrition, for convenience, for our challengers. I'm just excited to enjoy it myself, but also from a business perspective, to have another consumable that is residual, other than Shakeology, other than Energize, other than Recover, other than Hydrate, other than Boost, other than Refresh. I mean, this is something that is going to explode your volume if you are currently engaged with your challengers and your coaches. And these are the kind of things where if you get excited, people will see how excited you are. And you're just going to see massive amounts of increase each week if you are diligent about living it out and sharing it in an authentic way and sharing it with your challengers and your coaches, because it's a huge solution. So the FAQ number is 9754. And there's actually a PDF. I printed it out that's got all the stats, all the calories, all the macros, all the questions, so I can have it on hand that day.
Cool. And so the last one that we just want to talk about is a really cool opportunity. Alana, who is I don't know what we call her. She's not the new celebrity trainer. We'll have to figure out.
She's just our new celebrity.
She's our new celebrity. She's going to be doing a training on April 11th in the Beachbody Champions page about 2B mindset, what it's about, how you can leverage it, and how you can help people with the new program.
And guys, I have a surprise. I didn't even tell Rob I was going to say this. Alana is actually going to be doing a special team call for us.
So cool.
In upcoming weeks. And so it's going to be a special presentation. We're going to be coordinating with the other leaders and other larger teams in the organization to make sure that we can all get on that night. It will be recorded, but we will share that information with our leaders and with you guys once we get a little bit closer to that date. But I'm really excited about that as well.
Cool. So those are the updates that we have. Again, if you go into the back office, it'll be in Coach Breaking News, or you can just look up those FAQs like we talked about. Now for the good stuff. Well, that was all good stuff.
Even better stuff.
But so we're so excited to have Elizabeth here with us tonight. I can't say enough about how endearing she is. Like when you meet her, like it's just like this wonderful smile, so welcoming.
Instant trust.
Yeah.
Instant trust. This is, I think, sorry, you had a whole thing.
You're good.
The side note that I'll say is that there are a lot of people that are, I'm not knocking anyone's integrity. There are a lot of people that are sexy and shiny, and she's sexy and shiny, but there's all different types of leaders, and that's what makes.
That was not in what I was going to say.
Yeah, I didn't say this. There are all different types of leaders in this community. I think it's what makes Beachbody so special is that we all have a body, we all have different stories, and we all have an opportunity to lead and create influence and following based on that. But Liz is somebody that I inherently trust and I believe in. And when I see people like her, and there is a very small circle of people that I look at in this really high regard, when I see how she pursues this opportunity and how she leads and how she deals with changes in the business, because ultimately those are the people that we look to for guidance so that we know how to run our team and lead you guys. When I see the way that she is passionately, authentically still pursuing what we do as coaches, it gives me so much encouragement and it gives me so much confidence that we're just getting started. And so I'm very grateful to have your example, but I'll let you finish.
Yeah, well, so it was really cool. And this is just another testament to that. So when we do calls, when we have guest speakers, we always ask for accolades. And it was really cool because I want to read that. Or not read exactly, but just kind of talk about what she shared with me in the order that she shared them with me. And I'm tweaking it a little bit just so that you guys can have a full understanding. But the first thing that she told me is that her biggest accolade, the thing that she's the proudest of is her two kids, Jack and Mary, right? And Marie, my apologies. And wife to her husband, Michael, who, like, the moment I met him, like, you could not have a more perfect pair. Like, I want to hug him every time that I see him. He's an actuary. Used to be.
Or sorry, yes. Used to be an actuary. And I was like, what's that?
but like such a sweet couple. And that was the thing that she's most proud of. And then next is the work that they've been able to do with Missionaries of Charity, which is Mother Teresa's foundation, working with underprivileged or underserved people who are children or elderly in Boston. And it's so cool for those to be the first thing that you shared, because it's so much of what people miss out on is what this opportunity can help you do for others, the legacy that you can leave, the family that you can build, and the people who you can help. So that's really, really cool. And those are the things that she shared first. And then the other stuff that you're used to hearing on calls like this, and I'll ad-lib this a little bit. Probably one of the best national wake-up calls that I've ever heard. So you guys are in for a treat tonight. She's a superstar diamond coach. She is a member of the Millionaire Club. She is a 3-time elite coach, executive leader on the leadership ladder, which is as high as it goes.
Yep. She's hitting her head.
A summit speaker, a leadership speaker. She knows what's up.
We have the privilege of having her on our team call tonight. So get your notepad ready.
And so that's our intro. Sorry, we took up 10 minutes.
We really like you.
Yeah. And it's funny when we
love you.
When we started talking about who we wanted to have as a guest speaker last month, looking forward for the rest of the year, you were the first person who we thought of. So we're very thrilled and lucky to have you. So we will hand the call over to you and you can take it away.
Wow. I'm humbled and as touched as I am by everything you guys just said, I'm also super grateful to have your example and be able to speak on your call tonight. And I am going to raise my glass of seltzer, how boring, to you and your team for your incredible accomplishment of superstar. That is a great feat, and it's 100% a reflection of your leadership, Chelsea and Rob, and the unreal team of soldiers you have pushing for a goal like that with you. That must mean they respect you immensely, which is to no surprise because a team wouldn't push for something like that if they weren't on board with their leader. So I am super grateful to be here tonight, and I think you guys are just so awesome, and I'm like completely touched. That was the best introduction I've ever had for anything ever. So thank you, thank you, thank you. So I want to tell you guys, I don't think I've talked to your team before, so I kind of wanted to just share a little bit about who I am, kind of how I got to where I am now, and where I'm going, because I always think that's the most important part of this whole gig. So hopefully you guys can hear me okay, because my heat kicked on and I'm in the attic. My office is in the attic, so it's so loud up here. Let me know if you can't, and I will shut it off. So I've been a coach now. Okay, awesome. I got the okay from Chelsea. So I've been a coach now for 6 years. And before I started coaching, I went to college. I got the degree. It was kind of like the stars were aligning to go down the path that I always thought I wanted to go down. I actually went to school for journalism, and I thought I was going to be the first like female sports writer for the Boston Globe. That was always my dream, like the first big one for the Boston Globe. And in 2009, when I was graduating from Stonehill College, the Boston Globe was literally facing its demise. So I went to school, I had this childhood dream, and it was being crushed by the market. Like the market was saying, we're moving everything online, that beautiful newspaper, it's really not what it's chalked up to be. So I worked as a journalist for Boston newspapers for about 2 years, my senior year in college and the year after I graduated, and quickly learned you can't really make a living doing that. And I also didn't like it. Like I was chasing, I felt like an ambulance chaser. Like anywhere there was drama, I had to sleep with a police scanner on my desk, by my bed, and sat on my desk. It was like so stressful, and I felt like I was always just trying to find ways to bring more negativity into the world through the news. So it just was not the right thing. So I'm like, okay, corporate. I'm going to go the corporate route. That's what I'll do. I climb the corporate ladder. It'll be amazing. I'll love the challenge. I'm really competitive. Within like 5 minutes of landing myself in that corner cubicle of corporate America, I was miserable. My soul was being sucked out of my body. I was so unfulfilled, and I kept trying to find ways to enhance the experience, to figure out, okay, like maybe I just have to push for a promotion and I'll be enjoying that or fulfilled by that. And I just kept looking at the people who were ahead of me, my boss, my managers, and I was just like completely disheartened by the fact that I didn't want to become them. Like I looked at them and they were either like divorced or single and miserable or still in debt. Like they were working in these corporate companies and good jobs, and they were still in debt from college. They had no freedom. They lived for the weekends. They drank a lot. Like there was just nothing about that the people ahead of me, which, you kind of work your way up, that I wanted to be like them. And at the same time, once I left college, started corporate, like sedentary job, drinking a lot, like basically Thursday through Sunday, and had done that in college too, I'd put on a lot of weight. And I had 5 major knee surgeries, 3 on one knee, 2 on the other, that I used as my wet blanket. Like that was my excuse as to why I was putting on all this weight. Well, I've had all these knee surgeries. Like I can't lose weight. I can't do an intense program anymore. I don't even have full range of motion of my legs anymore. I'm always in pain. I'm always swollen. Like this is just how it is. And I got to this point where I ended up going in for all these tests. Like I went in for a colonoscopy at 23 years old. I went in for an endoscopy because there had to be something wrong with me. I was gaining all this weight. I felt terrible, like exhaustion beyond compare, brain fog. Like I remember someone would ask me something and I felt like I was on a delay trying to respond to them. And I was miserable. And I got the worst news I could have ever imagined. The doctor calls me and says, Elizabeth, there's nothing wrong with you. You are just not taking care of yourself. I was eating like garbage. I wasn't working out so much anymore. And I just wasn't taking care of me. I was working in a stressful job, and then I was drinking on the weekends and eating garbage, and it just wasn't a good scenario. So I had to draw the line in the sand, and I was like, I've done the diet pills. I've done the shortcuts. I need to play the long game. I need a solution that's going to change me from the inside out. Like, my skin was terrible because of how I was eating and just not taking care of myself. So that's when I decided, okay, I'm going to do yoga. People say yoga, that'll help me. I go to a yoga studio, and what's sitting right on the counter of this yoga studio is a brochure for Shakeology. How old school. Like, who in here found a brochure in a store and that's how you were introduced to Beachbody? So I pick up this brochure and I start reading about it and all the superfoods. You guys know the shake well. I don't have to explain it to you. So I'm always skeptical, and I bring the brochure to my nutritionist, my chiropractor, and my doctor, thinking one of them is going to tell me I can't do it, and then I don't have to waste the money on it. All three of them were like, for the love of God, do it. You need something. So I started Shakeology, and I don't know if you guys have experienced this, but it's kind of like once you start to, I guess spirals kind of happen like for good or for bad. And for a while I'd been in a bad spiral. Like, work was bad, relationships were bad, my energy was bad, like all of it, my health. I did this one thing to kind of flip the switch. Like, I started drinking the shake every day. That's it. I would shake it the night before work with water and put it in the fridge. It would be like sludge by the morning, and I would take it and I would leave and I would drink it in the car. That's how I drink my shake. It was disgusting, but I knew I needed to get that nutrients into my system. So I started with that, and it almost like flipped that switch of, all right, if you can do this, why don't you do a little something else that's good for you? So I started P90X, and that was back when I was working long hours, had an at least minimum hour commute. So I was doing these hour and a half long workouts, like sometimes at 10 at night. And there's a bug in my house. Oh, it's a ladybug. We're like infested with ladybugs right now. I guess that's good luck, even though I know you're not supposed to kill them, but it's very tempting. So I started P90X, and I really started to see my body change. And that's where the real switch got flipped. I finally took back control of my health, and I'm like, what the heck am I doing in this job? I'm miserable. I'm getting myself healthy, but mentally I am like drained every day. I'm not working towards what I want to be working towards. And I had always had this entrepreneurial spirit. My parents are entrepreneurs, my grandparents, like it just in our family line. And I loved the work that they had to put into it, but how they were rewarded for that work, and they felt fulfilled by it, and they were making a difference in what they did. And I would sit in my office, and I would, or my cubicle, not office, and I'd pretend I was working on something for my boss, but I was really scribbling down business plan ideas. And every time I'd hit that same roadblock of how the heck am I going to make this happen? Like, I can't create something with an infrastructure and overhead, and I'm not taking out another $200,000 in loans to open up a business. Like, I just can't do that. And one day I'm watching on social media, and I see my coach, who had left that brochure in that yoga studio, on a hike with his daughter and his wife on like a random weekday. And I'm like, I need to figure out what he does. And that's when I opened my heart to coaching. So long story short, I was able to leave my full-time job. My husband has been home with us for a few years now. We have two beautiful babies that we're always home together, which is a good thing. And I can't wait for 80-day obsession to be over so that this is actually wine kind of thing. But it is a blessing 100%. And what I want to focus on today is sharing that blessing with other people. And I think it's one of the hardest things to do as a coach. And I want to share with you, like, I'm so inspired. I woke up so inspired today because if you know me, you know that I am a fiercely, like to my detriment, loyal Notre Dame fan. And last night, the Notre Dame women's basketball team became the national champions. Now, if you're not a sports fan, just stay with me because I might be using metaphors that are sports related, but I promise I have a point that you'll all understand. Back in 1972, my dad was the captain of the Notre Dame basketball team. And that kind of set the precedent for our family. And he was being drafted into the pros when he had a career-ending injury because he decided it would be a good idea to ride a motorcycle for the first time. And he ended up losing his right leg. So that ended his career. And it was almost like we just had this, everything in our, like if you look at my parents' house, everything's Notre Dame everywhere. Like I just grew up with it in my blood. One of the first photos ever taken of me was as a newborn laying on top of my dad's captain uniform. Like it was obsessive. And my close friends would attest to the fact that I'm not very outwardly emotional. I'm pretty private with my tears and they don't really happen that often. So last night when I was watching the game and Ogun Bowley, or however the heck you say her name, she hit the winning shot at the buzzer as she's like falling out of bounds. I don't know what came over me. I just burst out crying. And my poor husband's like looking at me like, do I hug her? Do I quietly tiptoe out of the room and call for help? Like, what is happening? But I was so overcome with emotion that surpassed anything having to do with my team taking the national championship. I was overwhelmed with the beauty and the power of a story like that. Because if you didn't see the game, you can catch the replay and it's worth seeing, even if you're not a basketball fan. You'll see how unlikely it was for that shot to be hit. And the crazy thing is, if you watched any of the March Madness prior to that, this girl did it twice. In the semifinals, she hit at the buzzer another shot just like that to beat number 1 seeded UConn, who was undefeated at the time, to then send them on to the championship. So she was basically falling over as she drained a 3, and she did it twice, 2 games in a row to win it all. And when the reporter, this is what like made me burst out crying, when the reporter comes up to her at the end of the game last night and she's all sweaty and out of breath, and the reporter says, like, this is a huge deal, but for you, it doesn't really seem like it is. Why is that? She just responded with her truth. She said, I've taken this shot so many times in practice. I knew there might come a time where I'd need to take a shot like this, so I just did it over and over and over again. And when I heard her say that, that's when I just lost it, because that's the secret to success. That is what sets apart the average people, or even the amazing people, but the ones who don't necessarily become champions in their own right. It's about the shots that they take when no one's watching, when no one is giving them the credit. And that's what makes you transcend everyone else and everything else and lead you to your greatness, lead you to that thing that you so desperately want. It's not about the big wins that we kind of sit back and wait for sometimes. The big wins happen because of all the freaking shots, like all the ones you take behind the closed doors. So last week, I hit my 6-year milestone in coaching, and I didn't even stop to recognize it. Like I didn't even notice, whatever, just keep on trucking. And it was just another day of doing what I always do, is like a mom and a wife and a coach. And I've just been kind of like feeling out of sorts lately, when thinking like, when's the next big thing? Like I'm competitive. I like, even just against myself, like I just want to keep pushing for the next big goal. But last night, I feel like that game just really reminded me that I'm creating that next big thing right now. Like I am doing the little things every single day to ensure that whatever that big thing might be is going to happen for me. It's about chipping away at it every single day, chipping away at it. And each swing of the axe, what is that as a coach? Like, what does that look like? So I wanted to kind of talk tonight about what I think the most important thing is when it comes to coaching. And I know you guys are obviously doing the things. Like you just achieved the biggest accomplishment you can achieve as a Beachbody coach. So I knew I could talk about, your body is your business. So make sure you're drinking your shake and knowing its value and knowing how to share that value with other people and pressing play every day. And I knew I could talk about make sure you're tracking your business and doing the vitals and doing your power hour and your follow-ups, or like, what are you reading for personal development? Let's talk about vision of where you want to go, because that's so important. If you don't know where you want to go, you're not going to know where you're going to land. Or how are you crushing social media? Like what's the latest trend in Instagram? Or are you making sure to take advantage of the changes in the algorithms on Facebook? But I thought kind of at a foundational level, when I boil this business down to its simplest form, to me, everything, literally everything is about building relationships. When I have a new coach come in, and this happens a lot, she's like super overwhelmed and there was this training and this video and this thing. I just tell her, listen, forget all of it. Don't log into your online office today. Just go help someone. Have a conversation. Lift someone up if they're feeling down. Show up for them. Inspire them. Listen to them. That's what we do. We play the long game. That's how you build an epically strong, deep business. You might not get in the top 10 for it, but you will make more money than you could ever dream of, and it will light your soul up in ways unimaginable along the way. And there's a parable that I love that you guys probably have heard about a man drowning. He's in the ocean and he's drowning and he's flailing and he prays to God, please God, save me. And all of a sudden the man sees a boat come by and there's a fisherman in the boat and he says, you're drowning, hop in the boat, I'll, take you to shore. And he says, no, I'm good. God will save me. And a little bit later, he's still flailing, keeping his head hardly above water as the waves are crashing on him. And another boat comes by and there's a man on the boat and he says, hop in, you're drowning. I'll take you to shore. And he says, no, God will take care of me. And it happens 2 more times. So the man ultimately drowns and he dies and he goes to heaven and he sees God and he's like, God, what the heck? Like I prayed to you. I said, save me. And God says, I sent you 3 lifeboats. Why didn't you get in any of them? And I feel like that's sometimes what we do as a coach. We think all the time, like we pray or hope that the right people will come into our business, that the right people will come into our lives or our social media feeds, and we'll get the lifers or the people who want to run with the business. But because they don't show up with a neon sign on their forehead saying like, hi, pick me, I'm your lifer, we bypass them. But maybe who you're hoping for, that lifer, that person on your team that's going to help your team grow to 5-star, 10-star, 15-star diamond. Maybe they're right in front of you. Maybe they're in line at the grocery store, or maybe they're the mom in your kid's class that's like just not feeling fulfilled anymore because she drops her kid off at school and then she's just sitting at home watching soap operas, or the challenger who keeps showing up, or maybe the challenger who sits quietly in the balance, or your neighbor who's struggling to pay the bills, or your hairdresser who just wants something else to do with her life and is getting asthma from inhaling all the hairspray. I don't know who it is for you, but anyone who crosses your path is someone that you can serve in some capacity, whether it's with this business or with our products. And I have no doubt about that. Like I know without a shadow of a doubt, the value we have to offer as coaches is abundant. Like we can touch lives in so many different ways based on what they need. But we are so afraid of rejection. We are so afraid that we don't give this gift to nearly enough people, because we're afraid, what will they think of me? Or what if they say no? And Chelsea just did an awesome call on the National Wake Up Call about objections. So use those tools she taught you to kind of work through that fear of objections or rejection and go out there and do your job. Like live your purpose. Don't fall into the trap of thinking that Beachbody coaching is following a tracker and this and that. Like, no, we have a platform that can make an impact in the world. And it's all going to come from building relationships. And guess what? You can't say the wrong thing to the right person. So you're so worried about saying the wrong thing. You can't. If they're the right person, it will be the right thing. And you don't need to try to hunt anyone down or convince anyone of anything. You just have to help them open their eyes to what they've always wanted, to show them what's possible with something like this coaching platform, or with Beachbody On Demand, or with Shakeology. You need to build that relationship. And I think one of the key pieces that helped me through the fear of rejection, because it's a very real thing, is remembering that I can't be emotionally attached to the outcome of each individual conversation. Like I can't hang my hat on any one conversation. I can't put all my eggs in one basket. I just have to be emotionally committed to the person that I'm talking to. I need to give them all that I've got. And more than anything else, I have to listen to them. I have to ask enough questions that I can sit back and take it in and know what I can give them, know how I can serve them. Because if I don't ask, if I don't listen, if I just word vomit on them, if I just give them like all the things I think they should do, or without actually getting to know where they're at on their journey and build that true relationship with them, I can't help them in a deeper way that will ultimately get me my lifers. Or like my best coaches that are so committed to this business are the ones that I took the time to get to know what they really needed first and foremost, and then made my recommendations or suggestions based on that. So there are a few things I think are really helpful as far as tools, because I want to make sure I give you guys some actionable things that you could apply tonight. And I actually recommend you apply it tonight, only because sometimes you hear something or read something or experience something and it lights something in you. And when you allow that, like naturally, you know, we're humans, so we have these highs and these lows. Like when you start to plateau after that, like by the time you wake up tomorrow, that fire isn't going to be there, or that excitement about a new idea isn't going to be there. So stay up a little extra late tonight and just for half an hour, 15 minutes, if that's all you've got to give, do these next couple things. And I think it will really serve you in your business and show you how possible this truly is. So I think I'm a pen and paper girl. Like I've tried the apps. I've tried everything. I'm old school. So I got my notebook and I have a couple lists that I like to work from. So the first is just to real quick touch on the power of visualization. Okay, there's a reason that Olympic athletes have been using this technique to win gold medals. Like it's not pie in the sky, it's science. What you set your focus on, that's what you start working towards. Like it's just a natural thing. Like when you go to buy a Chevy Tahoe and you leave the dealership and all of a sudden on your ride home, you see like every car passing you, you feel like you're seeing Chevy Tahoes nonstop. It's not that everyone at the same time decided to go buy a Chevy Tahoe. It's just that that's where your focus is. So you're just starting to notice more things and you're putting your energy there and your focus there. So the first list I like to make is my dream team list. And I update this every so often. These are the people that you're like, oh my gosh, like I've got to have this girl on my team. She would be an amazing coach, or this would rock her world in the best way, or I know I can help her work past this or that. Like make your dream team list of those people that you see yourself arm in arm with, like walking across stage as a superstar diamond or whatever your vision is. Like write out those names. If you need to be like, I wouldn't recommend putting this online because it makes you feel super creepy, but you can print their picture out too if you want to make it super real. But definitely don't go public with that, especially if they don't even know you from a hole in the wall and you just stalk them on social media and then you have their picture hanging on your wall. It can be really awkward. I've heard. Just kidding, I haven't done that. So your dream team list, like this is where you start to visualize. You could be a brand new coach on this call right now and not even have signed up your mother yet. And you can make your dream team list. Like you can start putting yourself in that mindset of who you are becoming, what you are building, the vision for where you're taking this. I'm going to digress for like the quickest second, probably not the quickest second, but like second quickest second. The power of visualization, I didn't even know I was doing it. But when I first started as a coach, I told you guys I've had many knee surgeries. So I've been going to physical therapy since I had my first knee surgery in 2003. And I was going for about 10 years every single week to the same PT, Bob. And Bob and I have a very like tongue-in-cheek, funny, sarcastic relationship. And I went to physical therapy one day and it was right after I'd started coaching and I'd made my first $20. I don't even know what you sell to make $20, but I'd made my first $20. And Bob's like, yeah, so you're doing that whole Beachbody thing? What's that about? And I was like, It just came out of my mouth. Like, I don't know why it came out of my mouth. I don't know. It just came out of my mouth. It was like one of those things where I said it and then I heard it after I said it and I started to blush. I said, oh, I just want to make an extra $100,000 for my family. And he literally burst out laughing at me. And I was so embarrassed because I'm like, I legit made my first $20. What am I talking about? But that was the first time that I realized, like, I'm starting to visualize where I'm taking this. And within a year from then, I was actually building a business that was working towards a 6-figure business. So that was kind of one of those moments where, like, I was embarrassed that I said it, but I was like, I'm holding on to this vision. There's a reason I said that. That means something to me. There's a why behind that. Like, I knew what it would feel like to do that and what that would mean for my family. So make sure you are doing that power of visualization, like whether it's building your vision board or just knowing your destined port, because I love the quote, no wind favors a ship that doesn't know its destined port, or something of that nature. And it's basically like, you want the wind to just take you in life? Good luck. See where you land. You know, send me a postcard from China, even though you were aiming for South America. Like, you got to know where you want to go. The master list. This is the second one. The master list is like your massive brain dump list of anyone that comes into your mind. Like, it can be the lawyer you used from when you got in that fender bender back in 97, or your second grade teacher, or, you know, your best friend, or anyone. Like, just think deep and wide of that master list and just keep it growing. Like, let that be, you know, you could have a whole notebook. That's what I recommend. That's what I have, a whole notebook dedicated to your master list, because you're just constantly adding to it. If you want to be more organized, which I do recommend, I just don't personally practice it myself, you can put notes next to that person or use something like a tool like Streak, or I know people use different ones like that, where you can actually kind of keep updated as to like when you talked to them last, or whether they told you to go screw, or whether you're still following up with them, or whether they joined a challenge group, or maybe they're a coach now. So you have that master list. This next list I learned about from the book, Get Over Your Damn Self. And if you haven't read that, I kind of like poo-pooed it for a while because it's network marketing and a book focused on network marketing. And I just never like go there mentally. I'm always like mindset and business and marketing, but something kept calling me to read this book. So I started reading it, and it really just kind of brought me back to the fundamentals. And I think it's super powerful. Very, very great book. The chicken list. This is your list of people that you're just afraid to reach out to. Like, that girl on Instagram who has 20,000 followers that you just know she'd knock it out of the park, or, you know, whoever, like that friend from high school that like is already into fitness and is trying to get her health business off the ground, like from the ground up, without using something like Shakeology or a business like Beachbody, and is making no money. And like, you know, she could absolutely rock this thing, but you're just afraid. Like, you're afraid that they're just going to tell you heck no. You're afraid that they're going to make fun of you. You're afraid that they're just totally not even going to answer you. That's your chicken list. And you have to remember something so important. And this is what she says in the book is, if you don't ask that girl or that person to be on your team, someone else will. Okay. So do you want them working with you, or do you want them working with someone else? You have to remember that at some point, someone's going to ask them and they're going to go with someone else. So like, power through that chicken list. And you can set goals on it. Like, I'm going to invite one person a week from my chicken list. Like, you don't have to make it overwhelming where everyone you're messaging is someone you're afraid to talk to, but every week you're kind of, remember, it's all about chipping away. Like, you're just doing that little thing. And what I do is I have those 3 lists. I boil it all down because I'm not like a master recruiter or anything. My numbers aren't off the charts as far as like how many people I bring in every month or anything like that. I boil it down to my 10 in play. And I've talked about this a few times on National Wake Up Calls and at Summit. My 10 in play is just the most basic thing ever. It's a list of 10 names that I'm working off of that week. Maybe a few are from my dream team list, one from my chicken list, and a few from my master list. And they stay on my 10 in play until they're out of play. So either they're telling me like, hard no, get lost, and then they go into my follow-up, like maybe another time column, or they join with me and then they come off the 10 in play and they get replaced by someone else. So I like to work from that neat little list of 10 so that I'm not overwhelmed by this notebook that's a master list that I'm like, oh my God, where do I even start? Or trying to scroll my news feed doing it, because then you waste epic amounts of time. Or just like only focusing on my dream team or my chicken list, because that's just straight up overwhelming. These are all people that I admire or think would be amazing, and I'm totally afraid to talk to them. So now I'm creating this like list that I can be consistent with. And I remember one of my mentors told me that if you open up your calendar, your like weekly, pen and paper, or, the Google Calendar on your phone, and you don't have at least, oh God, I remember when I first heard this and I just got the pit in my stomach again, because I probably don't have it set up this way for this week. And it's a poignant reminder. If you don't have at least 5 prospecting calls on the calendar, you're working a hobby, not a business. And I remember when I heard that at the time that I was like, post 3 times a day, follow up, and going through my Power Hour tracker every day. And then they said that, and I was like, that's a kick to the gut, because I'm working really freaking hard and a lot of freaking hours to be told that I'm running a hobby, because I most certainly didn't have calls or connections lined up ahead of time. And now I do. I don't always have 5. I always aim for at least 3 every week, because I work the business pretty part-time these days as far as the amount of time I'm investing, just because I have the 2 littles at home. But that is my recommendation, is like really start treating this truly like a business, and remembering that this is about relationship building, and it's not just about chit-chatting on Facebook and throwing up a post with an invite at the end and hoping someone comes to you. It's about actually putting a time on the calendar, like, oh yeah, well, you should totally look into what I do, because I think it would be amazing for that, based on what you said and the questions I asked you and the answers you gave me, and personalize that conversation to them. Did you want to, let's chat this week. Which days are you free? Are you around on Wednesday at 10? Does that work for you? Like, get the time on the calendar, and then just share your truth, share your story, inspire them, tell them, if you're brand new and you haven't made the money yet, or you haven't lost the 50 pounds or whatever it is, talk about where you're going with this thing. I was talking about earning 6 figures when I made my first $20. Have the vision, and then you can always share stories of your teammates and other people but you got to get people on the phone. You got to get them face to face. And I think the power in everything that we do is remembering it's, you might see the people who hit that. There are people right now viewing your team and viewing Chelsea and being like, wow, they just got superstar diamond. Good for them. Like, that's one big win. But what they didn't see is all the incredibly hard work and teamwork and mindset work that you guys have put in over the last year, 2 years, 3 years to make this dream happen. So remember, this is a part of the chipping away. This is, to me, the most important part, because if you don't have the relationship building, every post you put up, every training you do, every book that you read doesn't mean anything, because it will not translate into a business that changes your life. So I'm happy to answer any questions if anyone has any, and I'm done ranting.
I loved everything, but I especially loved, I loved a lot of things. First and foremost, I loved hearing your story. I think that there are a lot of people who are not college dropouts, who have had professional careers, have grand aspirations, but all of a sudden the lifestyle associated with it doesn't align with what the values that they have for their life. So just hearing your story, I think just even adds so much more value to this profession and the reputation. But I loved at the end when you just dropped the mic, when it came to scheduling things in advance. And I know that our team, there are so many coaches watching right now who put in the work. And Tony Robbins had said it a few weeks ago. The recipe is not hard work, because there are lots of people who have worked to the bone in whatever job that they're in, and they're making no more money, and they don't have any more happiness or more freedom. It's about how you work. And I think that was very empowering. I'm really excited to really read in depth the comments, because I know that there's so many people who are like, that's the thing that I'm going to implement right away. I also love the 10 and playlist. Oh my gosh. I've heard it in passing, but it really worked for my brain, because I think sometimes when we see a giant to-do list or a giant master list, we're like, I can't have this many conversations. We're in the world of Teamsy, where every Facebook, name is in one hopper, but that 10 is who you zero in, and then you just replace them as you get responses.
Yeah, I think like one of the things, and everyone struggles with this, but I'm a math guy, so I always run numbers, and statistically in the US, only 1 out of 100 people have exposure to Beachbody, whether it's through coaching or infomercials or as a customer or whatever. And it's so crazy, because I think about it, it's like when you walk through the airport, you are passing literally thousands of people who have no idea about our products and what we do, how our lives can change, how their lives can change. And I think people almost take it for granted. And we do it, and you nailed it. It's because there's a fear that we're afraid to talk to someone. We're afraid to put ourselves out there. But just like you talked about with your PT, like people are not going to like, I mean, if people are going to judge you, then that's their loss. But it's one of those things where I feel like we are our worst enemy, because our eyes are closed. Our eyes are not wanting to expose ourselves out there. And I feel like so many people are trying to expand their social media to find all these people. It's like, where do you find people? It's like they're right in front of you. Yeah. Just open your eyes and open your mouth, and like you said, have a conversation.
And you might want to throw up and cry and run away when you say that. And that was so important too. And I think what's really crazy is, and to be 100% candid for everybody watching, I think the reason why I love being around Liz and I love being at leadership is because we don't necessarily do anything different than you guys. We have the grit to get back up when we have a sucky week or a sucky month, and that week or that 6 months is an indicator, not that we're not cut out for this, but we're not doing the actions. And that's why I love being around leaders at this level, because when we're in a room together, it's not like, oh, we have all the answers, we have a flawless track record, this is so easy for us. It's like, you made it. Like, you fought through this crap the way that I did. So if you guys are watching this and you're like, but they're saying no, or they're not getting it, or I've dried up my list, find new people, find your grit. I promise you, it's that one more conversation, one more follow-up. I'll give this business one more month, one more year, and everything can change. And I think that you demonstrated that in just sharing, like, guys, this is what I'm doing. And I think a lot of people just needed to hear that perspective, and you deliver very direct, tough love in such a great way.
I want to say two other things that I thought were really cool. And like, I hope I'm half saying this so that everyone hears it again, but also like, I find that when I speak stuff that hits, I want to be able to accentuate that next time that I speak. When you talked about you said you wanted to make an extra $100,000, 99.9% people in this business undersell what they can do. And it may have been like, I don't know where that number came from, but like, that's the reason why you're successful, because you made $20 and you believed it could be 100,000.
And you were specific.
And then you've passed that more than tenfold at this point, right? So I think that's one of the things that people need to hear is like, you can have humble beginnings, but you have to have that boldness, that grand vision, and like, you can set goals along the way. But I loved how you spoke about that. The other thing that I thought was really cool, and I don't know why I'd never heard this before, but one of the phrases that we were taught when inviting is, have you ever considered? And like, it's a really great phrase depending on where the conversation goes. But what you said is, when you know someone should be a coach, you don't ask them if they've ever considered it. You say, you should do this. And I feel like sometimes people are afraid to do that because, I don't know, they don't want to be bossy or whatever. But I know when you say something like that, it's because you have a belief in someone. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a really powerful way to instill that into someone who is most likely on your dream team list. or your
It's hand play.
Are on those lists. And I just think that's a really powerful way to, like Chelsea had said, be direct and not let it be a passive thing to really solidify your belief in someone.
Yeah, it's funny. Brendan Burchard told a story when I was at High Performance Academy a couple of years ago, where he's like, yeah, we're all morons. Like, we drive down the highway and we pass like 500 cars, and one car cuts us off. And we start like cursing every car, like, I'm always going to get cut off. I'm always going to, like, everyone's trying to run me off the road. And he's like, and we forget the other 500 cars that we just passed that drove perfectly fine right along in the lines. Like, we're always assuming everyone's going to try to, like, drop the hammer on us and say no and tell us to get lost. And it's like, when you can come at it from the right place, knowing the value you have to give and the impact it could make on their life, and tell them something like what Rob just said, like, it's flattery when you say, like, hey, I think you'd be amazing at this. Like, you are already crushing it on social media, or you're such an amazing mom. You're so inspiring. I always come to your page to get more like mom tips. Like, you'd be incredible at this. Just like lift them up. The worst that could happen is like, no, it's not for me right now. And trust me, they'll come around at some point when they keep watching you be consistent.
I love that you said that, and I feel like I need like my spirit is being tugged. Right before this call, somebody in my life, I think we all have that one person from our past that doesn't want to see us win. Hopefully not, but I have one, and they haven't been in my life. And I had just a phone call with someone, and they came back in my life. And Rob saw like the blood drain out of my face, and all of a sudden I was hearing that chatterbox like, oh, well, they're telling everyone that I'm a sleazy salesperson and that I don't deserve all this. And even though like all these people say nice things and I've done all this great, it doesn't really matter. And you spiral into that. Like, what is that one person going to say? And Brendan is the one that said, it was at World's Greatest Speaker. He's like, raise your hand if you ever had your heart ripped out by one person. And then like, everybody raised their hand. And then he continued 2, 4, 5, 10. And then all of a sudden, like everyone's hand went down. And he's like, so there are 5 people out there that don't want to see you win. Every single person in this room wants to see you win. So we're going to, like, if they ever say anything to you, all of us are going to start an army and storm that person and put them in their place. And that's what we are as a team. That's what we are as Team Beachbody. When somebody says that this company is a pyramid scheme, I don't care if it's your prospect or if it's my arch nemesis coach's prospect. I believe in Beachbody, and I'm going to have their back because I want to see you guys win. And I think that sometimes it's like that little fear of that one person, that one opinion, that one no. And we'll storm them for you. We have your back. That was good. That was for me. You gave me some beauty.
Awesome.
All right, we should wrap it up.
Cool. Yeah, let's wrap it up.
Well, thank you so much for your time. I have to go back and take more fine-tuned notes and make them action items, more importantly. But I'm gonna get you back good, girl, because this was awesome. And
my team is fired up to have you. So thanks for having me. So this was awesome, and just an honor. And I'm super proud of you guys and super happy for you guys. Nothing more deserving.
Thank you
so much.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. Have a great night, and we will see you soon.